I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, people? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm telling you, I have an amazing author on the show. You guys know I love authors. She thinks I'm crazy already. Listen, okay, so Miss Mitchell is here, but before I introduce her, she has this wonderful book on Amazon called Boville, and it goes from A to Z, and it might be good for your children, for you to read to your children, or for teenagers, or even you, because I mean, let's face it, I still love comics and I love children's books. So I'm just maybe one in a million or not. You let us know by putting your comments below. But we got a great interview for you today. And Miss Judith Mitchell is here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So before we get into the book, I always talk about the person, the writer. So who is Judith Mitchell? And so who is Judith Mitchell and how did you get into this book, Boville?
Well, I'm a New York City native and lived there for most of my life. And I have always thought of myself as a professional illustrator because that's how I started out with books. And I did fantasy and science fiction illustration for a long time and then got into children's books and illustrating children's books, illustrating all of these things. But then I
Mhm.
thought, well, why not write one myself? So this was my first effort.
Wow. No wonder the cover is amazing. I was going to ask you who did that.
Oh, well, fortunately, I can say it was me if you like it.
It's a beautiful cover. I love the story. Okay, so before we get into the story again, because I always like to do it, why did you become an illustrator before you became a writer?
Uh, the basic reason is I never thought I was a writer. It never occurred to me. Um, I loved books. My parents used to read books to us kids, and there were always books around the house, and I loved them. And I loved some of the early book illustration in those books, Arthur Rackham
Hmm.
and people like that. And so I've really been an artist and a drawer, as they say when you're a kid, since before I could write. So it was just sort of a natural to start illustrating books. And I started out having been asked by a friend to illustrate his science fiction magazine, his
Uh-huh.
little what they call fanzine. That's really how it started.
Wow. Wow. That I mean, thinking about it, I mean, people should be able to do one thing better than the other. What do you say you are right now? I mean, I know this is your first effort, and I know you've been doing illustration for a while, but writing, is that something that you just kind of fell into naturally?
Well, I did. Yeah, suppose you could say naturally. Yeah. Um, how did I get to be a writer? I just sat down and wrote. That's it.
Ha!
I wasn't sure if it was good. I wasn't sure anybody would want to read what I wrote, but I got these ideas in my head, and it just seemed that they sat there for a while not being recognized. I thought, well, maybe I should just sit down and have fun writing them. So that's
Mm.
what I did.
Do you think you had a better advantage because you were an illustrator than if you weren't?
That's an interesting question, actually. Um, I in that I can see situations visually rather than just understand them in a sort of an analytical mental way. I see what I'm. One of the things in illustration is it's helpful if you can see the character. You can visualize the characters and the scenes
Mhm.
rather than just putting them together in a logical way. You have to see it, I think. And I've always been very fortunate to be able to do that.
Wow. Is that something that you can naturally do, or is that something you practice?
Oh, it just comes naturally. I could probably use a little practice, I suppose, but um,
What
no,
say
I can see things.
Yeah. What say you about the people who try to see things? They try to see it. They really, like say a person really has this idea in their head
Uh
and they
huh.
don't see it. How do you give advice on how to see it?
Well, I never have given that kind of advice, but I would say sit down and just do sketches. Just draw until something says, "That's it.
Mm,
That's what she looks like," or "That's it. That's what the castle looks like," or whatever you're trying to draw.
right.
Whatever inspires you. I bet you got a picture in your head somewhere.
Somewhere. And there's so many different AIs out there that can help you draw these ideas. Maybe not this, like the sketches or anything like that. You
Hmm.
still need a human because it just doesn't come out right. But
Hmm.
you can kind of get AI to help you, artificial intelligence. So, I mean, you being an author now, congratulations.
Thank you.
And now, and also a profound and just experienced illustrator. What is this book about?
This book, let me give a little preamble to this. We went to visit Vermont every summer when I was a child, and a friend of mine came up with me once. And the little village that was near where we stayed was right under a big tall mountain that blocked out the sun in the afternoons, and they called it Hateful Hill. And it really did. About 3:30 or 4, there was no more sun.
Oh,
So my friend remarked that it would make a great story. So unfortunately, he died, but I kept that in my mind, and that's what really sponsored it was his idea, and I just made it a lot richer. I hope, than just
yeah.
a notion. I made it into a real place with real people. I mean, real
Wow.
to me, of course.
Of course, and real to your friend, and my condolences to you and his family.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, when things like that happen, it does stick in your head,
Yeah.
it really does. And for a little town where at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's no more sun, that is Hateful Hill. That's definitely Hateful Hill. So, so my goodness, your characters came from your imagination. Did you visualize these characters right away after you got the idea of writing this book?
I think they appeared to me as I was writing it.
How
I
does that happen for you?
Well, I actually borrowed somebody's computer. I was in New York at the time, and I actually didn't have one that worked very well. So I used hers, and I would sit there by myself when she was out, just typing along. And I wrote a draft, and then I let it sit, and then I would go back and change things, maybe move a paragraph around. I'm sure all writers do this, and plump out some passages and get rid of others. Change words. And gradually, I guess it was like working with clay. Something just came together and looked sort of as though I had approved it finally in the end. So I left it alone, actually left it alone for a couple of years. And then I
Mm,
came back and added some more things. So, it wasn't something I did under a deadline.
mm-hmm.
It was just sort of, it came when it wanted to. And I didn't have any object in mind. I didn't want to publish it at that point. I just thought, I was given this story. Maybe it behooves me to write it down.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you looked at the story when you were done, did it bring a smile to your face and also the memory of your friend who is long gone?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's wonderful. That's
Um,
wonderful. So this is kind of like it's kind of like something that brings your friend back to life every single time someone reads it.
well, yes, and I dedicated the book to him too. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, it
Oh,
does, and I thank him. I think it was a wonderful just a little jot in my memory, that comment that he made about
mm.
it.
It's amazing how little things can be so prevalent in someone's life. It's just a millisecond, a
Yeah.
quote, a smile,
Hmm.
anything can
Hmm.
just mean so much. Wow.
Hmm.
So okay, so you finish a book, it gets published. Do you have any regrets?
Uh, no, I don't think so. It's a great surprise to me, actually, to see it in a book form, because before that it was just in on a computer, or I printed it out. It was just a manuscript, and I stuck it in a drawer, and went on with other things. And but now that I can hold it in my hand as a physical object, it's a book.
Wow.
It's it's quite surprising to me, and I've gone on to write some more now too. So maybe
Wow.
yeah.
That is so cool. So now you are a proficient writer, someone who has like, you're a real author. I mean,
You're
you
very
write one
kind.
book. I mean, so seriously, I wrote like one book. I'm not a real author. I'm just like
Yeah.
somebody who tested the waters pretty much. I'm not an author. Okay. But you're a real author, which is something that a lot of people want to aspire to. What kind of advice do you give to people who really want to aspire to something and they think it's going to take too long, or they put it back, or and now they feel guilty? I mean, what do you
Hmm.
say to them?
I say art is one of the most important things that we have in our systems. We all are artists in one way or another. I mean, it's a shame not to act on that. And maybe you don't think it's good, but probably other people will. And if you just sit down and let your mind relax about the outcome, you can just make wonderful things, I think.
I think so too.
I think not to ignore those impulses because they can lead somewhere. And it's really good to do art, whether you think it's quote good or not.
Hmm.
It's art. You did it. You created it. That's very important to me.
I think you've helped me out because I am the queen of stick figures.
There's lots of books with stick figures in them too.
I know. I just didn't want to be one of those people that did stick figures.
Go for it.
But I
Make
think
it.
I will. I think I'll go for it. I think it'll be funny too.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
But I think
look at
yeah,
South Park. What they've done with little paper cutouts, for
I
instance.
know that's so cool. Wow. You're right. There is no excuse for all of us stick figure people out there.
And go stick figure people, go.
Well, Miss Mitchell, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your book and that you're writing more. I mean, now you can be like a New York was it best-selling author. I mean,
Oh
why
my
not?
goodness. In my dreams, I just have fun with it, honestly.
And
And
when
I,
you wake up, it'll be reality.
well, thank you so much, Yaya. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine. Where can people find your book?
I think it's on Amazon. It's now in 2 bookstores, one in
Okay.
Canada and one in Texas. So that I don't know if anybody there would like to look at it, but it's called Boville, and Amazon has it. And I'm not sure. I think they're expanding the marketplace as we speak.
Nice, nice. Well, we're going to go ahead and have that information in the description box below. So it'll be easy for people to actually go ahead and get that for
Oh,
themselves.
that's great. That's great.
Yes, yes, definitely. I want to thank you so much, Miss Mitchell, for being on the show. I appreciate it so much.
Well, I do too, and I really am. It's a dream to be interviewed by someone like you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And then you wake up, it'll be like, yeah, like is it like your best-selling book?
Oh yes, well, I'll let you know.
Yes, definitely. Let me know. All right,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ms. Mitchell. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And again, don't forget to go to that description box in the comment section below and make your comment. Go to the link, check the book out for yourselves. And if you do happen to read it, let us know if you've enjoyed it or not. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Bye.